What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like, subscribe as you tune into the channel and you check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to talk about some statements. A statement that Brendan Haywood made about Victor Wembanyama, right? And the statement just basically is what I said, a few videos ago when I said that, Victor Wembanyama has a choice to make this off season. If you want to have a long, successful career, then you need to learn how he needs to learn how to play with his back to the basket. Facing up and taking people off the dribble is not going to work, right? And Brendan Haywood is a center who played in the league and who understands that, and he's seen guys successful centers in the league and seen how they play in the league. So he knows and he understands that Victor Wembanyama is going to have to learn how to play with his back to that basket. You know, he don't want to go out and be like Ralph Sampson and try to take people off the dribble and wind up getting hurt and stress fractures and all this other stuff. He don't want to do that, right? And he's taking he's doing dribbling drills with the guy Jamal Crawford. What for? Why are you 7 feet 5 inches tall? Why are you wasting your time, learning how to dribble when you 7 feet 5 inches tall? Also Brendan Haywood brings up the fact that he's in San Antonio and he should have he would definitely, if he wanted to and needed to, he would have access to Tim Duncan and David Robinson in San Antonio. They're part of the organization. It would take nothing, just a word from him to let anybody in that organization know that he wanted to work with Tim Duncan or Dave Robinson. They'll be there in a heartbeat, and probably for free of charge. It's, some people like you go work out with Hakeem Olajuwon, he going to train you. He going to charge you to train, right? Because most likely, you're not a part of his, you're not a part of the Houston Rocket organization. But you got Tim Duncan, and Tim Duncan is always around. Dave Robinson, I don't know how often Dave Robinson is around, but I always see Tim Duncan. They show him from time to time at the facility where these people work, where they work out at, right? So why not take advantage of that? He got to play with his back to the basket. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the audio of Brendan Haywood. I forgot who the guy who was talking to, but Brendan Haywood talking about what was exposed in this championship series against the Knicks by, and how they exposed Wemby.
This series for me exposed why Wemby is on the cusp, but he ain't there yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I know that there's been plenty of times where we've seen Wemby out there, doing his dribbling drills with Jamal Crawford, or he's out here doing karate or doing whatever with the monks. Hey, man, I can save you a lot of money on flights this offseason, big fella. You ain't got to even leave San Antonio. David Robinson and Tim Duncan live in San Antonio. You need to get a back-to-the-basket game that allows you to take advantage of the fact that you're 7'5".
Yeah.
I don't know if Wemby knows this or if he needs to hear this. When you're 7'5" and you're taking jump shots or step backs or fadeaways, even if you hit them, the other team does not care because you're not getting them in foul trouble. You're not in the paint. You're not demoralizing them by dunking the ball. When you're 7'5", the goal for you every night is for the other team at the end of the night to look at the stat sheet and just be like, he killed us in the paint. He made us feel that he was 7'5".
Mm-hmm.
So look, and that's the thing, like, and this is going to say, let everybody know like what Wemby is really made of. I saw that throughout these playoffs, when people get physical with him, OKC got physical with him and it kind of frustrated him. He's gonna have to get past that. The Knicks kind of got physical with him, and it frustrated him, and he lashed out. He's gonna have to get past that and learn how to deal with that, right? He and even if he learns how to play in the in the paint, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be a lot easier than him playing on the perimeter around the three, bringing a like some of the biggest mistakes that he made this during this championship run was because his coach allowed him to do things that he's not supposed to be doing at the as a 7-footer. Number one, when he threw that turnover at the end of the game, he got the rebound and he looked off. What's the guy named Castle? He looked Castle off. Castle started to run down court, and then he threw the ball at the back of Castle because they was going to pressure him coming down the court. Like New York was not going to allow him just to, a free run down the court in that situation. So he realized that, and then by the time he realized that Castle had his back turned, and he turned the ball over. All throughout the season, that kind of play right there should have been corrected, right? Like always, big man, give the ball up to the guards, and go down the court. That right there.
This series for me exposed.
Hold up.
This series
that right there hurt him, right? Because he he was doing things throughout the regular season that when it come crunch time, clutch time, it was going to backfire. Then on top of that, they only played him 29 to 30 minutes per game, right? And New York made it so that you had to have him in there as much as possible, because as soon as they take him out the game, New York plan was to go straight to the rim, challenge everybody at the rim. So the coach be like, well, we can't sit him down for long. So he's playing 10 minutes longer than he was throughout the regular season. Right. And I always say that, like you can't be a part-time basketball player and expect to beat full-time basketball players, guys who putting in full-time and time and a half. It's just not going to happen. And so the things that he did throughout the regular season came back to bite him. Excuse me, came back to bite him in the playoffs. And everybody know, he's going to have to play with his back to the basket. Now, if you have Wemby playing with his back to the basket, that's going to, the league is going to adjust to that. What they're going to do is they're going to still be physical with him, and they're going to have they're going to have to bring like guys in strong enough to push Wemby away from the basket. So, like I said, Wemby's presence in the league, in my opinion, is good for the league because it's going to raise the level of play around the league. Either you're going to have to compete with Wemby, or he's going to be just dunking all on you, and he's just going to dominate, right? I don't see that happening, though. I see teams gearing up and bringing in some guys who are strong and physical enough to do what Karl Anthony Towns did with Anobi, right? Anobi. Those guys who can play physical with him, pull him out on the perimeter or go at him in the paint. It's not going to be easy. Right. And he got a lot of work to do. And I think that Wemby thought that it was going to be a lot easier than what it was. But from here on out, I think it even gets harder because now people see how you can defend Wemby and what you can do, to Wemby. They know that Wemby don't have a lot of stamina, right? So they're going to make Wemby work. They're going to get physical with him. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how he adjusts to the adjustments that are coming for him. And they definitely, teams are going to adjust. They're going to play him more physical. So I'm looking forward to that. But I agree with Brendan Haywood. I don't think that Wemby is there yet. I thought if he'd have got a ring this year, I thought that would have been it. That would have been the easiest ring he got. Just if he would have been fortunate enough to beat the Knicks, I thought that this would have been the easy one. I think after this, it's going to be so hard. I'm not sure you know, when you look at other 7-footers like Kareem, it wasn't easy for Kareem, you know, until they put all the right pieces around Kareem. Then, you know, and he was a part of a, you know, part of a great team. Then it was easy. And so they're going to have to do the same thing for Wemby. They're going to put the right pieces around him, but it's not going to be a situation where as though, you know, people going to allow Wemby to dominate. That's just not going to happen. So Wemby still got some development to do. And, yeah, that's my take on it. But I definitely 100% agree with what Brendan Haywood said when Wemby is not there yet, and he's going to have to learn how to play with his back to the basket. You know, it's a win for everybody else when Wemby shoot those jumpers. So that was also true. So that's my take. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm going to check y'all out in the next video. Peace.